She certainly isn't gonna just leave her vehicle. It just smelled.
It was the biggest story of the entire period, and people were on the edge of their seats, like, what happened to this woman?
Of all the cases that I have, this one needs to be solved.
Can you go back and do the bush?
Back and forth, this search and rescue team is spending its day in the ditches looking for a clue.
That SUV, what we believe to be the Ford Explorer, enters the screen and drives through.
And the video didn't capture the license plate of that vehicle?
No, it was certainly not that kind of quality.
It's every homicide detective's dream, get a bag of evidence that the bad guy actually got for you. I went, holy crap, look at this stuff. It was a gold mine. It was unbelievable.
Welcome to Crime Beat. I'm Anthony Robart. On July 12, 2005, a 29-year-old Edmonton mother vanished without a trace. Her disappearance sent shockwaves throughout the city, especially because she was 4 months pregnant. No one had any answers as to where she could have gone. Here now is Jamie Dahl with Behind Closed Doors.
Day breaks in Edmonton on a warm July morning. As the city stirs, a woman on her way to the gym discovers something unusual in the parking lot of a baseball diamond.
It was July 12th, 2005, and it first started off where somebody noticed a vehicle abandoned in suspicious circumstances.
She actually phoned the police saying there was a car there.
The driver's side door is open and there seems to be like belongings to the side of it on the ground and a pair of shoes. And I don't see anybody inside. I didn't go up to the vehicle, but like the seagulls and the crows are playing with whatever's on the ground.
Where's the car?
157th Avenue. And if you're going down Castle Downs Road and you hit 157th Avenue and you go west, it's the first opening to where you would park for the baseball diamond.
She knows for a fact that that SUV was there at 5:45 when she walked to the YMCA for a workout.
I remember being called out to the scene of where the SUV was abandoned. I was asked to take pictures of the SUV. There was a pair of shoes sort of nicely placed there. The door was ajar on the vehicle. It was a Ford Explorer. It was parked in kind of a gravel parking lot and there was no other vehicles around. It just seemed strange.
And the keys, their driver's license were on the driver's seat. They were just sitting there. The other forensic guy had gotten into it, and I think he's just under 6 feet tall, and he couldn't touch the foot pedals of the vehicle. So it had to be a large person that was driving that vehicle. No one touched the seat at all. No signs of a struggle, no blood, nothing in that truck that we could see with our naked eyes.
It was a parking lot of a rec area in Castle Downs. The initial responders thought that it looked staged. Nothing looked like it was random.
Any idea at that point who the vehicle belonged to?
Yeah, they ran it. It belonged to a lady named Liana White, who didn't live too far away.
Bonds and I started looking around these trees, in and around, then we started walking that way. I saw a wallet sitting as a leaner, like in horseshoes, against the bottom of the tree trunk. It was underneath the branches. We saw this and grabbed it, and it was Liana's wallet.
I still remember seeing the video of police walking around with the little markers, evidence markers. The door hanging open as they're walking around. It really sort of symbolized the, we don't know what happened here, and she just disappeared out of nowhere. People were clamoring for any kind of information about what happened to Liana White.
29-year-old Liana White lived with her husband, Michael White. They had a little girl and another baby on the way.
Liana was a mother to Ashley, who was a young child, probably 2 or 3 at the time. She was a unit clerk in the neonatal unit at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. By all accounts, a very popular and valuable employee there, very reliable. Michael was a former military member, now working as an apprentice heavy-duty mechanic.
He tried calling his wife and didn't have any luck. She hadn't shown up for work. So that's when things, the flags really started going off that something probably really serious happened here.
Makes me a little nervous, concerned because you're not sure, if there's someone out there watching, if this woman was on her way to work and how she could just disappear. You wonder, how she kind of got targeted.
It makes me wonder if
we should worry if there's something going on that they're not telling us, perhaps, or something we should watch for if something is off.
So I think what really stood out is here's a woman that is pregnant, and if she was missing and needed help, it wasn't just her life that it was at stake, it was the unborn child. We were covering it as a missing persons case at the time.
She was a young woman, cautious, careful. She worked as a clerk at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. She seemed like a responsible, prudent person.
I would guess the distance between where the vehicle was located and her home was maybe about 10 blocks.
Two original patrol guys went to the house and the door was open. The dog was outside, which is never outside. The door wasn't locked, so they went in and found phone numbers for Liana's work, Mike's work. That's where they got all the phone numbers from where they worked.
She would not show up for work and not let anybody know. She certainly isn't gonna just leave her vehicle in the parking lot and take off.
Police went to see Liana's husband, Michael, at his work.
He was brought in for an interview, and not as being the suspect. He's a witness, so you got to get his story before you can start much.
What did he say?
Just that she left for work at 6 o'clock, and he was asleep, and he never heard anything. He had no idea where she was or what happened to her.
Michael White was at work generally saying everything was fine when I went to work. I dropped our daughter off at daycare, I came to work, and here I am. I haven't been able to get a hold of my wife by phone. And again, that was normal behavior for Liana and Michael. They called each other back and forth about 4 or 5 times throughout each day. So according to his story, he's the last person that saw her at home. It's like layers of an onion. You're peeling the onion, and initially we've just got an onion with one layer off it, which is we've got this vehicle. At that point, that's our crime scene.
There was some evidence that we had that was leading that in fact the crime had taken place, we would let you know. But at this time it's missing person. We have no indication at all that a crime has taken place.
The word at that time was that they had had a peaceful, happy marriage. There was no major conflict. He was a good husband. He's a big Baloo, the bear of a guy, like a happy-go-lucky, friendly guy like Baloo the bear on the Jungle Book.
They're just normal family. She's pregnant, they were happy, and she was ready to have a second child. And then now she's missing.
The thought was that she was on her way to work, and at some point between leaving home and getting to work, she was strangely abducted.
It was the biggest story of the entire period, and people were on the edge of their seats, like, what happened to this woman?
Welcome back to Crime Beat. 29-year-old Liana White failed to show up for work. Her SUV was found abandoned in a parking lot. The doors left open with some of her belongings strewn on the ground nearby. Now, as the mystery builds, police step up their search for the pregnant Edmonton mother. We now return to Jamie Dahl with Behind Closed Doors.
We had 2 search managers that were searching the areas north of their house, and where the SUV was found, where the house is, it's a pretty large area from 153 Ave north in Edmonton, between 97th Street and 142 Street. That's a big area to be looking. So they started organizing volunteers and policemen.
I was just trying to get a picture of the vehicle and then a picture of Liana, put it on a poster, and essentially try and get as many people as we could to see that and be on the lookout for her.
We've checked all the leads and people are phoning in. We probably had 500 tips in the first 3 days. She may have had an old boyfriend 10 years ago. We checked him out. There was 2 guys in a car at the Land's Happy Mart that had nothing to do with it.
Liana sold Avon cosmetics as a part-time job. So one thing we were trying to explore is, was this a robbery? And because she did the family's finances, she was the one that went to the bank and did all the banking and things like that. Did she have money on her from her Avon sales?
The other most likely explanation is she's hit the road, right? She's tired of this guy and she's gone. Not likely, as she's left her daughter, Ashley, but you never know, right?
We interviewed Liana's mom. When we found out that Liana and her mom were really close, we asked her mom some questions about how she sort of saw Liana and Michael's relationship and whether Liana had ever confided in her about any problems or concerns. The mother thought the relationship was fine. Maureen was obviously really stressed. She was really worried. I think she was a little overwhelmed with what was going on, which is pretty understandable.
Meanwhile, a steady stream of journalists were knocking at the White's door, eager for any information on a story that was gripping the city.
Michael said, "What should I do with the media? Should I talk to them?" I said, "Well, you do what you feel like doing. If you think it's important that you should go and talk to the media, then you go and talk to the media. But we're not going to participate." So as soon as we were getting ready to leave, he goes to the door and he's like, "I'm going to talk to them."
We are hearing for the first time tonight from the husband of an Edmonton woman who left for work yesterday morning and then disappeared. Police did find 29-year-old Liana White's car abandoned not far from her home.
Right here is it.
Right where you are is perfect, sir. Thanks for doing this, sir.
Is there something you want to say?
Liana, just hold tight. Thanks for everybody who's been involved in looking. Thank you. Thanks for the media and their support and putting her out there and putting her face on, making known who she is. Thanks for every officer, police officer, detective on the case. Thank you. That's all I got to say. I just want to say thanks.
This must be a really difficult time for you, though.
Thanks. I'm gonna go back and do the bush.
Back and forth, this search and rescue team is spending its day in the ditches looking for a clue. A clue that will help lead them to Liana White. So far, they've found nothing.
We're searching near Liana's residence, and we call that the point last seen where she was actually physically seen.
Liana's husband, Michael, was also searching.
He was taking neighbors and friends and family and all of the people in this city that felt compelled to be able to try to help on this, taking them out and searching for his wife, walking up and down the streets, going in through the ditches, looking for any kind of evidence.
Meanwhile, investigators were zeroing in on CCTV footage they collected from a pub not far from where Liana's vehicle was found.
They came in, they asked if they could see the surveillance cameras for that evening. They played them. They're generally about 6 hours in length, so they watched them for a few hours. Once they finished viewing them, they asked us if they could take the tapes with them. I got the impression that they seen something.
There was no timestamp, so that was a challenge for us in kind of knowing what portion of the videotape to look at. So we methodically just went through that entire videotape. So that SUV, what we believe to be the Ford Explorer, enters the screen and drives through. And if you notice, there's a light color or white shirt on the person driving the vehicle.
And the video didn't capture the license plate of that vehicle?
No, it was certainly not that kind of quality. It was at a time in the morning, just after sunrise, where Liana would not have been going to work. It would have been a couple of hours later where she would be going to work. So that was strange in itself. We concentrated our efforts on the vehicle and comparing it and making sure that it was possibly that vehicle. The next segment is where we tried to time the event of a video placement exercise. We had a detective drive by with the same SUV at various times in the morning just before sunrise. Again, this is the detective driving by in Liana's Ford Explorer. And again, the segment's slowed down here as well to be able to see. The reason we used the same recording equipment was to give an apples to apples comparison of the vehicle we believed was driving by that morning.
There's a lot of thinking like, okay, where is she? Where could she be? What happened to her? And people don't know. And they're not inside the investigation. They're not up on all the things that the police are up on. So their suspicions aren't building like they were with the police through that time. There's just genuine concern for Liana. Where is she? Is she okay? Is there foul play? And there's a huge search going on, and many people are volunteering and participating in that.
5 days went by and still there was no sign of Liana. But the search for her pressed on.
So what we'll do is we'll get this section.
It's a rural area that doesn't see a whole lot of traffic from the citizens of the city, and we just like to exhaust all avenues, and we're hoping for anything at this point to help with the investigation.
Michael White and his family said, well, we want to go out to the command post where the search and rescue people are and just thank them for all the work they've done this weekend.
After thanking the volunteers, the family headed back out to search.
When Michael White and his family left that parking lot, they turned north on one of the rural roads.
Michael's out, I believe, with his mom and dad, and his brother and sister are in another car. And they meet up on that road, 142 Street and Poundmaker Road. They stop there.
And they're chatting. And then his mother says, what's that smell? And gets out.
And goes and stands at the edge of the ditch and then starts crying and gets back in the vehicle. Michael's mother recognized that it was Liana because although she was covered with some loose brush and branches, she could see her dolphin tattoo on her ankle.
I believe it was Michael's brother who called 911. And the RCMP went there, and then they notified us. It was gruesome, you know, advanced decomposition.
Welcome back. After Liana White's body is discovered by the side of a rural road, the police investigation that has been going on in the background reveals their primary suspect. Here again is Jamie Dahl with Behind Closed Doors.
Where was the body found?
It would have been right kind of here, at the edge of the trees, edge of the bush. But keep in mind, this is all grass was about this high, and there's some other willows and stuff like that. You know, you're not going to stop in that small of an area unless you know where to stop.
Days before Liana's body was discovered, police and even reporters started to question the demeanor of Liana's nearest and dearest, her husband, Michael White. It started after he gave this interview.
Is there something you want to say?
Liana, just hold tight.
This was strange. It was a strange interview. Just walking out and making those, thanking people and then breaking down, but not really, and having some tears come, but it didn't quite feel right. It felt odd, and it didn't quite understand what was going on. Talking to a lot of the other reporters that were there with me after the fact, we were sort of saying the same thing, that this was odd. It didn't add up. It wasn't what we had seen prior when talking to people dealing with grief, dealing with loss.
What does that mean? Like, who says that? Liana, stay put. Like, what is that all about? Stay put what? There was no, like, I will find you.
Every person operates differently when they're under stress. And so you have to be careful to not leap to conclusions because people are acting a little bit different than you think you would act under the similar circumstances. It really sounded like he didn't know how to behave. Michael asked some questions, and they did catch us off guard. He asked, when should I go back to work? He asks, how long will you be looking for her? And how long will this investigation take? And those are sort of upside down questions.
It was around that time police were dialing in on the surveillance footage of Liana's vehicle passing by the pub, and they discovered there was more on that tape.
There you go. Brian Robertson was getting on my nerves. We're partners. We're partners in homicide. He said, just go away. You're driving me nuts. I know we have to do things, but so I told him to go down to the audiovisual place and watch the rest of that tape. So he went down there in about 45 minutes. He phoned me. He said, Mike, you got to come up.
I see the Ford Explorer go through the screen and driving down 161 Avenue. I watch afterwards, really nothing happens. 12 minutes later, from the left side of the screen, a person is jogging along the sidewalk back towards Warwick Crescent and the White residence. That person comes into view and actually looks up towards the Richards Pub roofline where the video is, and there was no doubt in my mind that it was Michael White.
The quality wasn't sufficient enough to identify the person, but the height, the gait, the white colored shirt again surfaced of a man running by. Either it's a man out for a jog or it's Michael White running back home again so he can get back before his child woke up.
That was the first time that he became a legitimately strong suspect.
Between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning for the next 3 or 4 days. And also looked for anybody that looked like Michael White walking in the area, just in case it was somebody, not related.
So now we've got Michael White lying about what he did. We've got Michael White running back from the area where the Ford Explorer was discovered towards the area where he lives.
I went to our bosses and said, we need 24/7 surveillance on Michael White.
I knew we had him in a bunch of lies, and I knew that he was good for Liana's disappearance. We still don't know what happened to Liana.
On the evening of July 14th, undercover police officers followed White and watched as he walked into a field and came back with garbage bags.
When he came out, he was carrying 2 garbage bags full of unknown things. Put the garbage bags in his truck and then drove back to his house, into the garage, closed the garage door. Not long after that, he brings the garbages out to the curb because it's garbage day the next day on the 15th. We put one of our undercover operators on the back of the garbage truck, operating as a garbage collector.
He picked up the 2 garbage bags, put them beside him, away from all the other garbage, drove away, and then he gave them to our forensic guys and brought them to headquarters. I went, holy crap, look at this stuff. It was a gold mine. It's every homicide detective's dream, get a bag of evidence. That the bad guy actually got for you. Like, he brought it back to his house and put it out. Oh, there you go. It was unbelievable. It's something that probably happened the only time in my career. There was bloody towels, there was bloody shirts, there was blue nitro rubber gloves, there was blood on everything. There was a broken lamp, hordes of paper towel full of blood. Cleaning bottles like bleach bottles and stuff, all in these 2 bags.
That broken lamp matches a partner lamp that was in the 2nd bedroom in the house. So we could connect that lamp to the White property.
There was also a paper sheath of a knife that was just a sheath. It's probably a foot long. There was also some kind of army t-shirt. It was his regiment, and it had blood on it. And the broken lamp would come into play because where he took those 2 bags out of the field, there was a lampshade on one of the posts, right beside where he went in to get the 2 bags of stuff. So that eventually said the broken lamp in the bag was all from his house because the matching lamp and shade was in his house.
I think he was afraid that the bag was going to be found by the searchers.
Michael White was brought in again for questioning, but this time not as a witness, as a suspect.
Are you involved in Liana's disappearance? I loved her. I still love her. I'm talking past tense now.
We had to caution him. Like, it's a caution statement. You know you're at risk. You can call a lawyer. No, I'll talk to you. I'm good.
Are you telling him at this point that he's a suspect?
Yeah, we have to because we know he is. We can't try and spoof him in an interview room.
What did he say when he finds out he's actually a suspect now?
I don't think it offended him that much. Of course I am. I'm the husband, so of course you're going to look at the closest people to her.
He's just chalking it up to that.
That's correct. We knew we had evidence, but that would come into play on the last interview. We let him go.
Investigators needed more evidence before they could lay charges. Later that day, they returned to Michael White's home with a search warrant.
Michael was there. We told Michael, we're not talking to you. We're not answering any of your questions. We're having a conversation with your family. We can't make you leave. They wanted to know things like, have you checked for any neighborhood break-and-enter suspects? that are around the area, any car thieves that are operating in the area, any serial sex offenders that have been released from jail recently. Now these things are things that normal people ask.
Michael White's family was staying there. So when the house was being searched, they were removed and put up in a hotel.
When we go to leave, Michael asks one question, and he asked, "Will you be searching at the dump?" Now, we already know that we've got his garbage.
Forensic officers have been in and out of the White's house for most of the day. Now, police declined an interview with us today, but when we stepped on the property, we were told we had to leave because this is being treated as a crime scene.
It was obvious that the house was the crime scene. Absolutely no indication that anybody else was involved but him.
When the family went back out to search after thanking volunteers, the police surveillance team had been following them. When detectives arrived on scene, they said Michael White was distraught at the discovery of his wife's body.
We've got the body, we've got him. We don't want him in case he does something else dumb like take his own life or hurt somebody else.
White was detained and put in the back of a police cruiser and brought to headquarters.
They had the whole game plan on how to interview him. We had pictures up on the wall, the crime scenes, the house, the truck, and by that time we had luminoled the back of the SUV, the house. Luminol fluoresces when they iron in the blood. You spray the luminol on it and it turn the lights off in black light. You can see the drag all the way through the house, out to the back, into the back of the SUV. And when you shone it in the back of the SUV, the luminescence was outstanding as well. It looked like someone was just laying there. And he wiped it up, but you're going, wow. And on the bumper, you could see some of the swipes there too. So he tried to clean it all up.
How can you accuse me of killing my wife?
No murder weapon was ever found. He just wouldn't admit to any part of hurting her. The most unemotional person I've ever met in my life. Had no emotions.
Hello and thank you for joining us. A major break late tonight in the case of missing Edmonton woman Liana White. Police suggesting for the first time the 4-month-old pregnant mother of 2-year-old has been the victim of murder and issuing a statement this evening that her husband, Michael White, has been charged with second-degree murder and indignity to a body. These startling developments coming a day after a body was discovered in a North Edmonton ditch just about 2 kilometers northeast of the home he shared with his wife.
Her body was found with very few clothes on, and while the medical examiner is still searching for an exact cause of death, police say that there were marks found on her body that indicate she was involved with some sort of struggle. We can also tell you that police did not find any evidence of premeditation, which is why Michael White has been charged with second-degree murder, but police say they found plenty of other evidence that made them suspicious of White.
From Tuesday till now, our forensics team have received over 150 exhibits. So I can't say that we found evidence at the SUV, the Explorer, in the parking lot. We've discovered evidence at the house. We've discovered evidence at where the body was recovered. It's devastating. It's a tragic day. It's not a victory for the police service. It's just a tragic day for 2 families.
The medical examiner determined cause of death to be homicidal violence. They found 2 stab wounds, one fairly deep stab wound and one more shallow stab wound on Liana's hip. And they found defensive knife cuts on her left hand.
At the autopsy, there was a 98-gram male fetus found in her womb.
It's horrible. I still don't understand his mindset with that's the other story. Where was Ashley during this night, the night of the 11th, morning of the 12th? I still don't know.
Ashley, the White's little girl, was believed to be home the night her mom disappeared.
This is total disbelief.
I don't have too much information at this time, but what we hear is it's very sad news, so we're all distraught.
Everybody was hoping in the city that she'd be found alive. It's sad to just find out that, you know, one of your neighbors or something like that can happen to them.
Shock and grief. Staff at Royal Alexandra Hospital talk about losing someone they love.
She's a friend and a colleague and very well liked and respected for the work that she did in the neonatal program. So we miss her.
Everybody certainly knew that Liana was pregnant because she shared it with everybody.
She told everyone, yeah. Very dedicated mother. Her child was everything to her. and very excited to be with the prospect of having another child.
Michael White grew up here in Mar, Ontario, a farming community on the shores of Georgian Bay, about 3.5 hours northwest of Toronto. He worked like many rural children on the family farm, his former classmates calling him an all-around nice guy. Many in this small community say they are shocked and saddened by the news, and they say out of respect for the Whites, a family who has been here for generations, they do not want to speak publicly about Michael or this tragedy.
There's a number of people that definitely thought that he was a victim in all of this, that maybe the police were just looking for the easy answer and maybe not looking for the right answer, that maybe they should look a little bit deeper.
Details started to emerge about Michael White's past.
In March of 2002, he was court-martialed for theft and possession of stolen property. He pled guilty.
He was given a severe reprimand and was fined $3,000.
And there was more about what was possibly going on in Michael and Liana's personal life behind closed doors.
What people didn't know, though, was stress was slowly building as the young couple struggled with money. A $36,000 accident settlement had hit them hard. Finances were strained even more when the couple moved into this $170,000 home. With a huge mortgage and additional car loans, the couple's debt kept growing. But to the outside world, including Liana's mother, everything seemed fine.
As far as Maureen was concerned, they were in a very, very healthy and loving relationship.
2 months after being charged, Michael White was granted bail and released from custody.
Nothing at all?
What do you
Nothing
want to
right
say
now.
to the people who may think you're guilty?
No comment right now, please.
You plan to bail you out?
No comment.
White's bail release angered some Edmontonians to the point thousands of signatures were gathered on a petition demanding it be revoked.
They felt personally invested in trying to find her. They felt betrayed probably by a husband who is now charged with his wife's murder. And to then see him get bail, forget the legal reasons for it, forget any of those sorts of questions about whether it's the right thing legally or not. Morally, they felt wronged by that. It was an outrage to the people.
Seen your daughter yet?
I cannot make a comment. I'm sorry. I think the probably the street line is out here, folks.
All right.
Mike, if you didn't do it, who did? Have you been trying to find a job?
I can't make a comment now.
Family and friends of Liana White said goodbye today. The 29-year-old was laid to rest more than 2 weeks after she disappeared from her North Edmonton home.
She had a magnetic personality and drew people with her striking smile and sparkling eyes. She was a dedicated, nurturing mother who was selfless in her love for her family. As an employee and co-worker, she was outgoing, reliable, and compassionate. When Maureen counts her blessings, Liana tops the list as her center and joy of her life.
Michael and daughter Ashley did not attend the funeral.
My top priority is Liana and putting her in God's hands, and Ashley. That's our top priorities right now.
More than a year after his wife's death in November of 2006, Michael White's second-degree murder trial began before a jury.
Today, on day one of the trial, the Crown told the court that it has overwhelming evidence against Michael White. It said the court will hear that 2 days after Liana's disappearance, Michael White returned to a field where he picked up 2 garbage bags and placed them at the end of his driveway. Those bags were found to contain clothes and paper towels covered with blood, with DNA that matched Liana White's.
And there was more evidence on the rubber gloves found in the garbage bag.
The inside of the gloves are his DNA. So the inside of the rubber glove is his, the outside is her blood. So he was wearing the gloves when he touched her blood. There was also some kind of army t-shirt. It was basically his regiment, and it had blood on it.
They found a pair of jeans with blood on it that turned out to be Liana's blood. Found a pair of sandals. The evidence now shows that he killed Liana in the house and transported her away from the house.
You've got the body, you've got the bloody clothing, you've got the blood in the scene. You got him on the camera the morning that she has gone missing, her vehicle being driven. At the scene where the vehicle's left, the driver's seat's pushed all the way back, so clearly she wasn't driving it. The shoes are placed, kicked out of your vehicle. I mean, everything just added up, and it's all pointing in one direction, right at him.
Michael White, a tired, thinner version of his former self, sat in the prisoner's box today. His lawyer says White will later testify that he loved his wife he didn't kill his wife, and that he's an innocent man.
The defense says there are too many unanswered questions, suggesting police made assumptions, shutting doors early on in the investigation after seeing this pub security video. You can't convict anybody on the strength of that image. It's poor. The defense says if Liana died from a stab wound to the neck as suggested, where is the blood? Police used luminol and detected traces in the couple's bedroom. If she had died in this house and lost the amount of blood they said she did, that place should have lit up like a Christmas tree. White told the jury the blood was from his wife's nosebleed. If he is lying, it should have been better than that. He loved his wife. He gained nothing from this. He has lost everything. But Crown Counsel Troy Couillard says White is guilty and he lied to the jury. The story of Liana's nosebleed is just incredible. I suggest you reject it. A story he didn't tell police the morning he was charged with his wife's murder. Couillard says White killed Liana in their bedroom, dumped her body, stashed garbage bags full of bloody evidence, left the SUV in a parking lot, staged a robbery scene, ran home, then cleaned up. Madam Justice Moreau will read her charge to the 12-member jury Wednesday morning. Once that is complete, it will begin deliberating, and the fate of Michael White rests in the jury's hands.
I don't think he had a motive. I think they got in a fight. Circumstances were such that he just lost it and ended up killing her.
Welcome back. Michael White is on trial for second-degree murder, accused of killing his pregnant wife, 29-year-old Liana White. He's denied any involvement and pleaded not guilty. And now his fate rests in the hands of a jury. Here is Jamie Dahl with the conclusion of Behind Closed Doors.
Maureen Kelly's only child is gone. Liana White murdered by her own husband.
How could you? And why? What happened?
Maureen held hands with her friend while the jury read its guilty verdict. Michael White closed his eyes, tilted his head back, but he didn't cry in court until his mother hugged him goodbye.
Michael White was sentenced to life in prison for the second-degree murder of his pregnant wife, Liana, with no chance of parole for 17 years.
I'm sad that my daughter's gone. You know, he's got a sentence, but my daughter's gone, Ashley's mom is gone, and, you know, because of his mistake, his life is ruined.
20 would have been better. I think 17 seems kind of short for kind of the offense that occurred.
That's not going to bring her back. Nothing's going to change that. So you still are going to have that going through our lives forever.
He took 2 lives that day and still tries to deny it. So I hope we never see him around here again, ever.
Maureen says the day Liana disappeared was the day her world fell apart. She described her agony to the court at Michael White's sentencing hearing while he sat listening in the prisoner's box. In her victim impact statement, she said, "I'm tortured by the way she died, the suffering and fear she must have endured, as well as the sense of betrayal." Michael White lowered his head when Maureen talked about Ashley, but then he stood to speak directly to Liana's mother. "Maureen, I don't know what to say to you. I'd like to start off first with Ashley. You are in charge of her life. Raise her well, like you raised Liana. Make sure she knows all about her, every little detail. Tell her about the man I used to be, if you can ever find it in your heart to. It may be too much to ask. I'm sorry for everything that you've gone through from day one to now. I'm sorry."
He said he was sorry that Maureen was in pain, but he never said he was sorry he did it.
Carol Forbes and White's stepfather would say little as they left the court,
but are obviously upset with media.
You've done the dirty work in the beginning, and it was you that helped convict him.
No comment.
Michael White went on to serve 17 years in prison. In 2023, he was granted full parole. According to parole documents, White has maintained his innocence and is working to clear his name. And there are others out there hoping to do the same.
The whole of Alberta was very emotionally charged,
and quite hateful towards Michael because of the way the media had portrayed him. As I got to know him, I'm going, this is not making sense. The details are not making sense.
Marilyn Burns is an Edmonton-based lawyer who has worked with the White family on a number of civil suits. To this day, she is still poring over the evidence used to convict Michael White.
The police were there that day, and the house was pristine. They couldn't see blood anywhere. It wasn't till the luminol test was done that they found the blood splattering on the floor. Luminol basically tests for iron. Blood, of course, has iron in it. So do many other substances, vegetables, cleaning substances, fluids. Lots of materials would test positive for luminol. The police theory is that he not only murdered his wife, he cleaned the entire bedroom. He had managed not to wake up his daughter or his dog.
There was obviously not a lot of noise. Maybe the throat slash was first, so she couldn't make a lot of noise. You would think she would scream if she could.
He managed to get her body into the vehicle all the way down to dropping it off in the ditch, dropping off the garbage, driving over to the location where the vehicle was found with the door open, and then he ran back home. When I look at all that, you'd have to be a mastermind to do that. That's not the kind of human that Michael White was.
According to Marilyn, Michael claims his daughter accidentally hit Liana in the nose with this clothing hanger.
And this is how the nosebleed happened. So there was blood in the garbage bin on his clothes and from the cleanup. What he didn't tell anybody, and what I extracted from him, was that he had been collecting garbage from his neighbors, and they would pay him to go to the dump. But instead of going to the dump, he dumped those bags in a field. But he felt really embarrassed about having been dumping.
Innocence Canada says Michael White's case is on an active list and it's currently being reviewed. Burns believes there is another story about what really happened to Liana White she's determined to share one day.
Something I can't let go of, and it's one of those projects I have that ultimately one day I will go word by word through the trial transcripts and prove that way that Michael could not have done what it's alleged.
He never admitted to doing it. You know, you got volumes of evidence. It could only be him. And he's doing the O.J. Simpson. I'm going to keep looking until I find her killer. Just take a look in the mirror, buddy. It's right there.
We always have to be mindful of tunnel vision. And that's something that's always in the back of our mind. We looked at other vehicles that had driven by. We had, in terms of the video, but in terms of the investigation itself, we have to avoid being, focusing on one particular thing and having tunnel vision. So, and I remember those discussions occurring with the homicide team, that we can't have tunnel vision.
There's no doubt in my mind that Michael White killed her.
This is probably one of 3 cases that I remember for the rest of my life. One of the ones that stick with you, because the pregnancy still is probably the worst thing. Mind-boggling what goes through these people's minds, what a human being can do to another one.
A young mother, she's pregnant, murdered in her own home by her husband. You know, like by the safest guy she should have been with and the safest place she should have been. This is just awful. Like, we're all family guys in the homicide section, you know, you just can't, how anybody could do this to their family member.
To know that Ashley is continuing on without her mom, it's really sad. And it really does affect us all, and I think it affects most of Edmonton too. We will take her memory and all what she stood for, and we will make sure that goes on and just make sure Ashley knows where she came from.
According to parole documents, Michael White has remarried, has stable employment, and has a close relationship with his family, including his daughter Ashley. He has also been granted permission to travel outside of Canada on recreational trips. Other than visits with his daughter, he is not allowed to contact members of Liana's family as part of his release. Thank you for joining us tonight on Crime Beat. I'm Anthony Robart. Want more episodes of Crime Beat? Listen to the Crime Beat podcast now for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. And for past episodes of Crime Beat, go to the Global TV app, visit globaltv.com, or check out our Crime Beat YouTube page.